So the Bonsai Northwest Melbourne exhibition is on again this year at Footscray Community Arts Centre, 45 Moreland Street, Footscray, Melbourne, Victoria, on the 20th and 21st of April 2024, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come along. There's lots of stock for sale, heaps of trees on display, and I'd love to see you all there. So looking forward to it. G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. Today I'm going to go through the step-by-step process of how to make a bonsai. Keep it very simple, and the same processes you can follow for any tree, and the same approach you should take when you're looking at styling trees. Now this little Juniper prostrata belongs to a customer of mine, and she wanted me to give it a trim and style up. So this is very common seeing junipers like this. It's already in a nice little cascade pot. A glazed brown, I guess. Might be nice to put it in an unglazed brown, just for if you want some tips about starting out. First thing you do is look at the nabari, or the root base of trees. The reason we look at that is we want to find the best root spread. Now usually we like to pick that as the front, but that's one of the main factors when we're looking at trees. With these little young junipers, really there's not much nabari anyway, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But on bigger, older trees, you definitely want to look for the nabari, the best root spread. In this case now, we look at the next part of this is looking at the trunk. Now this tree has, what happens is it's split into two trunks. It's very common for this to happen in junipers prostrata. Prostrata procumbens, they have this horizontal growth, so everything grows horizontally. And that's why this is a very good tree for cascade style. But in this case, there's no real apex to talk about. There's nothing really defining an apex in here. It's just got two branches that are cascading down. So really, it's something we need to look at. It's not the best having two. I prefer to have a single strong one, and the other one becomes an apex. So my thinking is the smaller one we can wire up and become an apex on the tree. And then we can wire this cascade more forward and down. And we can do something with this other one, twist it around and create another sub tree up here. And just to make it a bit more interesting, probably too long, we might have to cut it off, but that's the idea. So start to get a vision of what the tree is going to look like. That's probably the next step. I mean, you could talk about trunks and branches and so on, but really you need to see the vision of the tree, what it can look like. So nabari is really important. The trunk is really important next, and then the branching, which we can figure out. This has got lots of branching. We don't have to worry too much. We're just going to make a decision on these two. So because this belongs to a customer, I don't want to change the shape of it too much. I want it to still have a cascade, but we need to do something with this branch here, the smaller one, bring it up and bring it around and make it more of an apex. So I can wire it out, make it an apex, and then wire some of this down around here. Bring this cascade around here more to the front, and then we have some sort of more structure. This is just a bush that's going cascading. It's nothing really old. Looks just a small little shrub. Doesn't look like a mountain, in a cascading tree down a mountain that's been there for hundreds of years. That kind of look we want to try and go for. We want to try and achieve a very old look. This is not an old look at the moment. So what you need your tools. Keep your tools handy, ready to go. Very important. Keep all your tools handy, wire cutters, branch cutters, scissors, things like that you need. Have all your gauges of wire that you need handy, close by, so you can just start working on a tree and get into it. So very important. That's really important to do. Have everything ready to go. So the first things first is I'm going to put wire on this tree. I'm not going to cut anything off because I'm not sure what I'm going to cut off. So for beginners, it's always hard to decide what you're going to cut off straight away. It's really hard. So I would say to you guys, don't cut things off until you're 100% sure, because once you cut it off, it's gone. Okay, so some people don't teach you like that. Other people say cut off these branches, you won't need them. But when you're starting out, you don't really know what branches you need or don't need. So it's only until you see the style and how it's coming about before you can decide which branches you don't need, and so on. So first things first, I want to get heavy wire on the two branches. So wiring, I'm not going to show you how to wire, because it's just that's a very like a technique you need to learn over time. But just aim for a nice 45-degree angle all the way through. Always try and wire two branches with the one wire, because it acts as an anchor point. You'll slowly figure it out yourself how to do wire. I like to make mine a bit tighter, sometimes a bit smaller than 45 degrees, because I'm just trying to put bigger bends into them. If you do wider than 45, the wire won't hold very much. If you do 45, you can get nice subtle bends. I reckon if you have a tighter angle, maybe 30 to 40 degrees, you can actually get more bends in it without risking breaking the branch. But that's something, as I said, see, it's very technical. Remember, one piece of wire can wire 2 branches, acts like an anchor point, and aim for 45 degrees, okay? In between all the branching, just slowly go about it. How tight you put on the branch, just leave a tiny little space, I guess, in between the wire and the branch. Just aim for that. And once you just do it slowly first time, and then you'll be able to get faster and faster over time. Now, let's have a look at these two. These 2 branches are reasonably thick. They're almost my finger, like a finger thickness going down. So probably, I like to I'm going to use aluminium wire. So normally I would do at least half the thickness of the branch. So the thickness of the wire is at least half the thickness of the branch. So that's what I'm going to aim for here. So I'm going to apply wire. So I'm going to put one piece of wire. I'm going to start with I usually like to use, when I'm doing this kind of work, I usually like to hold a roll in my hand because it's easier to measure how much you need. Okay, so let's have a look at this. I'm just going to go slightly heavier than normal. Now, there's 2 branches. Okay, 2 branches I'm going to wire. It's very hard to see because it's very bushy at the moment, but there's 2 branches to wire. Okay, so I'm going to put one piece of wire, I'm going to wire both of them. Okay, so I'll start, and now I want to actually think about the direction of the wire. So one thing I've learned over the years is whichever way you want to bend the branch, if you want to bend it that way, the wire has to finish underneath, pointing that way when it's underneath the branch. So when I wire and the wire is pointing this way and I go around this way, that means I'm going to push the branch that way. Okay, and if I do it the other way, this way, and I push the branch this way underneath, it's going to bend this way. Okay, that's a very simple way of how to apply the wire, which way you want to bend the branch. Okay, let's start with this. So I'm going to push the big one that way towards you, and this one I'm going to have to do it. I want to bring it back this way, so I've got to put it the other way. So one piece of wire can do that. You just got to figure out how you're going to intertwine the wire. Once you get used to it, it's okay, but just remember just the little things like that. So I'm going to try and measure out. So I'm going to wire the big long one first at the base one. So I'm going to go about a third longer to maybe half longer than the branch. So if this is the branch here, I'm going to go about that much out more. So about half more than the actual branch. And then you just start wiring and applying the wire. Wiring is very boring. So because I'm not zooming in on this, I don't need to show you. Just remember one piece of wire and the direction you want to wire it. Okay, so that's all you have to remember. So I'm going to go away and wire this, and then we'll come back and have a look. So after I've placed the 2 wires on this tree, now I'm going to try and bend the main branches into position. Just the main 2 branches. There's so much other branching we have to worry about, but let's not think about that right now. Let's just worry about these 2 main branches. Now, obviously, when you're doing this, you've got to look at it. So you're looking at the front of this tree that I've picked. Now I'm going to have to turn it around for myself to be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to try and bend up. I'm going to bend up that first branch, the one in front. So look what I've done already. So it's quite easy because I wired the branch in the direction I want to bend it, which is towards me. So I've been able to wire this up this way, which is good. So I've got it more now to make a build of an apex. Now you can actually see the cascade branch. There's not much branching in here, but all the branching is down here. So I'm going to try and bend this more to you. So I'm going to try and bring this more around into you. And I'm also going to try and go down more. I'm going to really make a nice cascade. But I'm going to have to look at it. It's very hard to try and bend it away when you're not looking at the tree. So because I've wired the branch in the direction I want to bend it, it's very easy to bend it. Now it's always good to put movement into the branch because you don't want to have straight branches unless the tree's very straight. But if the tree's twisty and so on, you want to make sure all the branching's also got some nice bends in it. Right, so it's kind of now got some movement, and this cascade's kind of now pointing into you. It's got lots of branching here, which we'll have to wire and get into place. And more importantly now is this branch. So I've got it up high. I'm going to push it back more. Now when you push a branch back, you actually shorten the distance of the branch when you look at it from the front. So, and then I'm going to try and bring it around more. So now I've made more of a two branches. You can definitely see them. You can see the apex, the top of the tree, and then the cascade branch. So you can see roughly now, at least the branching's been split, and you see a much more interesting tree now. So now this is quite long, but we're going to see if we can work into place somewhere by bending it and twisting it, maybe shorten it a little. We'll see. But the most important thing is that now we've got the structure of the tree correct, or in the right, roughly in the right position. Now it's a matter of now working through what branches we're going to keep and not keep. So this tree has lots and lots of branching. So it's really good, really interesting. So it's actually it's easier to work with this tree. The hardest thing is figuring out which ones to take off because there's so much of it. When you're looking at a tree, you want to keep all the kind of main branches, the main strong branches. If something's weak and sickly, you don't really want to keep that. You don't want to keep really weak, sickly branches unless it's needed in that place. But for now, let's just show you the front. It's going to be, it's probably in there, of course, somewhere where you're probably looking at right now. This is nice. As I said, these all branching is quite nice. So what we want to do also now is start to wire out all the other branches that we need. Now with a cascade, I'm going to start here on the apex and work my way down the cascade branch. Once you set this, it kind of sets the structure and the format, the symmetry for the rest of the tree. So I'm going to apply some more wire, and once I'm done with that, I'll come back and we'll see which branches I'm going to cut off and not cut off. Okay. But one thing I can show you quickly, which I'll zoom in here, is sometimes you get little tufts of little stickly little branches like this, and there's no need for those. They're not going to be anything. And really fine stuff you want to get rid of, like little tufts like that, then no good. When you've got nice branches like this, which are quite healthy and strong. And we'll talk about how do we wire this and what we do with it in a minute. But firstly, you can just go through and just find these little tufts that you want to just get rid of, and you can just pluck them off with your finger, get rid of them. Okay, so that's one thing you can do quickly, just to clean up the tree. So I'm going to keep wiring, and we'll come back and see how it looks. So I'm going to give you a point of view angle of how I'm going to style this tree. Now what I've done is I've actually wired these branches only on the apex, only these branches, and I'll show you what we do to start style. So the first branch is the lowest branch. We want to put that into place, and it kind of sets the dimensions of how wide we can go on the tree. Now, what I do is if I don't like some of the branching, I pluck anything that's going downwards. So anything that's going downwards, I pluck off. Then if anything's too long, I use scissors and cut it back 1 point in the stem, just 1 point, just that 1 point. Okay, anything going down, I pluck off, totally off. So I don't go and pinch the foliage, pinch, or I don't do like a hedge trimming. That's a big no-no when it comes to bonsai, okay, especially junipers. So it's just a matter of going through the tree, trimming off anything that's too long and too out there, that doesn't lend nice to the shape. Plucking anything that's going down, working your way through anything that's going down, trimming off. So I've got one branch. That's probably my first branch there, the first lowest branch, I guess you can say. It's the most important, I guess, to some people, because it sets the whole tone of the rest of the tree. So we've got a branch in there. Then we try and look for maybe one on this side. So you can see this one's a bit crazy, out of control. So there's lots of branches going down, so I start to pluck them off, because I don't want anything going down. I want everything to go either sideways or slightly upwards. So if there's anything that's going down, also I can trim off with the scissors. But you notice I'm not doing like a hedge trim, okay? Very important. Trim off, trim off. Anything that's too long, going down. And what actually happens, you get some sort of nice, start to have a nice shape on the branch. So we've kind of got this one and this one set, okay? Then we keep walking our way up. So I've got this one now that I'll have to try and, I can bend and twist it around, make it shorter. But now there's a lot of foliage just going downwards on this branch, so it's probably too much. We don't need all that. Trim some things back. It's really out of control. There's a big branch at the back. It's kind of blocking my way, but they have to go. And also, if it's too long, we could cut back at one point and reduce that length as well. Pluck anything underneath. So you can see the tree starting to take shape, at least the few first branches. So we've got a couple of these, 1, 2, 3. Now we also need to think about back branches, but I've got this really strong one in here that I might have to use later. But now we work on, we've got another one up here, so I'll probably just put, there's a few around here. So wide, that one's in position. Now we work our way up. Now like this one, maybe I'll put that in about here. You also need some back branches because you need to create depth for the tree. So you can't have two-dimensional trees, you want three-dimensional trees. So we just slowly, trim away. Trim, trim. If it's too long, we need to trim. Okay, just 1 point. When you cut it at 1 point, it's very important. All right. So we're just making room for all the branching. Now, we come to this point where we've got a long one here and we've got like a really top one and a one at the back over here. So there's one here that I'll twist around and put kind of towards the back because we said, as I said, we want back branching. So just have to reduce some of this foliage. It's a bit too long. I'm just cutting out 1 point each time. So put that in there. It's probably too long. Alright, so we're starting to see some sort of nice structure in here with this part here. So now we've got this branch in here, so I might move him around and into this position. And this one will probably form like the top of the tree, the apex. Now we can twist it as much as we like, really, to create some sort of nice apex in. So you can always bend it around that way, and then come back down and create some sort of nice triangular face. So you can see how nice, kind of roughly put into place the triangular shape. We'll keep working on all the branching, the same process. Pluck anything's going underneath. Pluck anything off there. This is probably a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut it back. Prune some of these longer ones. So it's the same process, as you can see. We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Going down, anything going down we get rid of. It's too long, that's probably no good, that one. So we've got a nice now branch in here. Got a nice little apex which that's kind of the top of the tree in a way. Nice top of the tree. Again, pluck underneath. The best thing with these is they're very flexible, so you can move them into any shapes you want. So I need to actually get a bit more work done, a bit more cleaning up, but you can see quickly how if you just not look at all this stuff, just look at this boat, you can start to see a nice little triangle starting to form in the top. So we need to slowly get in there, but a bit more work and we'll get it looking really good. Trim off some of this excess foliage. Bring it down with wire. Anyway, so it's a nice quick little thing about trying to build the apex. So now, can you see that nice little kind of triangular part now? That's how we quickly styled an apex in this tree. Now I'm going to keep working and wire up all the other branching, and we'll keep putting them into place and start to form the rest of the tree. And then we'll get everything in position, and you'll see how it is. Since I last left you, I have fully wired all the branches that I need. So that's kind of the boring job of actually wiring everything up. You don't want to watch that on a video. It's quite boring, as I said. So now is more the fun stuff where we get to position the branching and eliminate any branches we don't need and things like that, and work out our final styling and design. So when we left off, we had kind of this area kind of worked out. We've probably got knocked around a little bit when I was wiring, so I'll just reposition some branches, and then I can actually cut back a little bit more if I need to. But one thing I noticed, there's a really heavy branch in the back here that's causing a lot of confusion. So I don't need it, because what's happened is, I'll show you some of the decisions you need to kind of make when you get to this point. So I've got some nice fine smaller branching in here, and then I've got this really heavy one in here. Now I could reduce it slowly, but it's always going to be a very unattractive. See how it bends kind of upwards, and it's unattractive going that way. So sometimes you need to create space in bonsai. So creating space means eliminating branches. So I'm going to eliminate that. I'm going to cut it slowly back so you can see what I'm doing and how much it opens up the tree. So I'll leave a little stuff for now. So it's kind of opened up the apex of the tree now. Like we can actually kind of finalize where we're going to put everything into place and make it look good. So we've got a lot of branching here to work with. It kind of looks nice and cute there and out at the top. Just this side, just this bit. Just need to trim up a few more, or just position some branches now properly, and we should be able to have a nice look for a tree. Don't be afraid to cut sometimes, but you need to be sure what you're cutting. Okay, so it's just looking a bit wrong in the camera, but we'll get there. Okay, so we've got kind of that worked out. Now, see, this is the little one we left, which is good. So again, like before, all we do is pluck underneath. I use the wire to kind of bend it and twist it in on itself a little bit to shorten it. And then you just try and eliminate anything that's too long, because you don't need all that length. You want the tree to bud back. What bud back means is have branches and buds on the inside a bit more. So that enables us to have more of those cloud effect foliage, nice big clouds of foliage, which is much more interesting. So that's how we go about at least fixing that first part up that we had an issue with. So come back to always the front when you're looking at it. Got a nice little triangle apex in here. All the back branching is okay. Now we go and try and work through all this mess over here. Now there's a long branch in here, so I'm thinking I can maneuver that down and maybe just put it into, just bend it around. I just want to put it into this there's a kind of a gap in here, so I'm just going to bend it in and around and fill in this gap that's been created in here. It's got all these other branches that I'm just going to push down and put into place. Make sure I cover both sides of the branch. So I've got this side covered. Now on this side, again, I'm plucking anything underneath. Put some bends in it and work my way through the tree. So keep going side to side. You kind of have to go both sides, keep both sides going. And growing underneath we get rid of. Going down. So let's see how it looks now. It's a little bit messy and a bit overgrown, so we probably kind of need to think about, this is probably too long, and I want to probably just get it a bit shorter and probably there. So I'm going to eliminate close to that much. So I'm just going to, because I've wired a bit of it, it doesn't matter if we cut off the wire. It's okay. It's only there's a little bit of wire, but we've got a better tree out of it. So now we just work on getting all these foliage in the right spot. So all I did was kind of fill in there. There was a bit of a gap in here, so I used this branch to bring around and fill that gap in. And now it's just a matter of creating a foliage pad. So when you're trying to create a nice line underneath, anything goes too much out of whack, you just take it off like before. Now go underneath. So we're kind of starting to build a tree. Now we've got this nice little, I guess, foliage in here. This nice little branch in here. Can you see that now there? Let's fix up some of this. That's better. Okay, now we're getting there. So we've got that one down now. Now we go to, there's a back one in here. It's really long. So I've actually wired it pretty much all the way, but however, I'm thinking it just needs to be a short branch. And I'm going to probably use that one that I wired because it's kind of at the back. We don't need so much. So if I just work my branches that I've wired into place and just eliminate some of these that are too long, make a nice short one. So it's a bit of a short one towards the back, and then I don't need any of this. So I'm going to have to do another large cut and take that off, which I've wired unfortunately, but it is what it is. So even though I wired it, it's more important to have options. If you cut it too early, then you don't know if it's going to be any good or not. So now we've got quite a nice little tree in here. Can you see that? Really nice little bonsai. You can almost have this as a bonsai just by itself. You can see that quite nicely now. So now we just work sure and make sure all the foliage is all okay. Pluck underneath. Okay, underneath, anything growing on down. It's going down. So just slowly building this tree nicely. Okay. So that's kind of the top apex done with using different branches to create that whole nice little apex. Now we go to the cascade. So I have to probably just adjust the camera a little bit. With the cascade, we've got a lot of branches that are young and small in here. So it's just a matter of positioning them for now. Be a bit random. Don't put them directly on top of each other. I'll put one there, one about there. Now that one maybe come around a bit more into here, just plucking underneath. Okay, so we kind of dealt with the back ones. They're kind of a little bit of different angles and so on. There's one on this side, so we'll just tweak that and put it in here. Now there's always never put them like just side to side, like side to side. It's also, one's got to be this way, one's got to be there, one's got to be on that side. So you've got to be thinking always in 3 dimensions. Sometimes you get a branch here where I have to put it more on top, like it's more of a top, like front one. Then I can adjust others around that make it look more interesting. So then you just adjust different branches to try and create more interest in the tree. Sometimes you put things in place and then it doesn't look right, so you move them around. That's why it's good to have everything wired. Like sometimes you don't, sometimes you build a tree by wiring it and then put the branches in position straight away. However, I wanted to show you the way you style and move branches around, so I couldn't actually do that. So what I've done is I wired the whole tree and then I place the branches. Usually what happens is you wire a branch and you place it, wire a branch and you place it, wire a branch. So in this situation, I have to do it the other way. I have to be able to show you guys what I'm doing. And then we move further down. So you can see we're slowly starting to put pads in. And they're all different. See, one's over here, one's there, one's at the back. So you got to do everything. Like there's one right here that's right at the back. So you got to cover all your spots. You know, don't just think it's just left and right. Okay, that's always going to be 2-dimensional. You got to think 3-dimensional. So we got that one in place. Now we've got a very long. See how it's quite long, this cascade branch. So I put some wire on it, and I'm going to bend it and twist it around a bit, just to make it a bit shorter. So by bending it and twisting, you shorten the branch. So that looks nice there. Now we're just trying to adjust everything accordingly. Got to put some, most of this creates one big pad in here. So you try and create one big pad. So I'd bring it down further, maybe the camera. You probably just see slowly starting to become a one big nice pad in here. So that's what you're trying to achieve at the bottom bit of this tree, at the cascade part, right at the base. And you work your way through, get your branches. These ones kind of now start to form go towards the middle. I like that one back there now. I'll bring this big one around here into here. So as I said, you always keep tweaking until you're happy with how it looks, but that's the beauty of wire. Now, if you want to own a conifer bonsai at all, so I'll go back up and back up. So you can kind of see now how the trees are starting to look. I'll take a better video of it later, but you can see by just repositioning a lot of these branching, wiring it all up and just positioning it, we just are achieving a really nice silhouette of a tree. And pretty much the basics of bonsai are achieved, you know, branching, wiring, everything, so on and so forth. But as I was saying, if you want to own a conifer, you must be able to wire. So wiring, if you don't like to wire bonsai, then just don't do any conifers. That's the honest truth. You can get away with deciduous trees or broadleaf trees, but not conifers or junipers, pines, etc. None of that. Well, you need to be able to wire. So here's what we've got, and here's what we come up with. Quickly done. Looks nice, little cascade. Looks actually a lot better tree. Looks like it's falling off a mountain. Imagine this pot was a mountain, and it's actually cascading down the mountain. Now what I'll do is I'll get it on a bit higher so we can have a better background, and we'll have a look how the tree looks in its final state. But it wasn't that difficult. If you go back to some of the basics I just taught you, you got to have the trunks worked out, the best trunks, what looks the best from the front. You know, the nabari is the first thing you look at, but on a just young juniper, you haven't got much nabari to worry about, which is the root spread. Then you go to the trunks, and as I did, I lifted one trunk up, and twisted around to make an apex, and used the stronger trunk to make the cascade. Okay, so that's what we did. And then I just wired everything. Remember, just wiring. Wiring is the key. Wire every single branch, and that's what you can achieve. So wiring is practice. You know, you need to practice. I can teach you the basics of wiring, but you're never going to understand it enough until you actually wire lots and lots. And then you get the hang of it, you know, how the thickness you need, the angles you need to go. But all in all, it's not a difficult task. And then once you wire, you can branch place. And remember, think three-dimensional when you're branch placing. An apex should be rounded, nice and rounded, as you can see. Branches should go in every direction as you go down. But we'll have a better look at this tree in a minute. And so here's how the final tree looks. You can kind of see all the styling. Now this is really bonsai basics, really basics of making a nice bonsai straight away. This is automatically a nice bonsai. I see this all the time. Overgrown bushes come in, and what do? Everyone can tackle this and do the same process that I've done. Wire the trunks, wire the branches, pick the right front that you like, and then wire the tree and then style it. So it come up pretty nice. Hopefully I can give it a nice little spin. Can't really see much there in the back, but I'll bring it around to the front more. See nice how the cascade branch goes forward. See how it's coming forward. It's very important as well, coming forward. Don't let it go back. The whole tree moves and comes forward. So that's nice. And there you have it. How to make a bonsai. Very basic. Bonsai basics there. Wiring, putting branches in place, coming up with a really nice tree. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Happy to answer any questions you've got. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.